With the 2208 release of SAP S/4HANA Cloud, there are some great new functions and features delivered in the area of manufacturing. In particular, in today's recording, we will be looking at a key piece of master data, production versions. As we all know, production versions are a mandatory piece of data that is absolutely required if you are manufacturing items. The production version will bind together the routing and the bill of material that is to be used in the context of the manufacture of a product. The production version is going to be determined based on validity dates, and that will then also influence, if we drill down a level further, based on lot size, the routing and bill of material that will be used. Now, up until now, before 2208, if you are going to maintain a production version for a material, you would either do it directly in the material master for that material, or you would have used this particular application here called Manage Production Versions, which allowed you to maintain that information en masse for a number of materials, as well as view for a certain set of criteria which production versions already existed in the system, and then would allow you, for example, to perform a consistency check. Both their ways are of course valid, but as we can see here, this could get maybe a little bit tedious. It's a tabular-like format to enter the data from left to right. With the 2208 release, this burden has somewhat been removed in the sense that the system now detects whenever you are creating a routing and or bill of material for a product, and is then going to, in the app called Process Production Versions, propose to you the creation of that production version. So if we go into this particular app, and I'm going to enter a set of materials just to focus on the ones that I would have changed, the system proposes to us the materials that are proposed for having a production version created. We also see here we have a reason, and the system tells us that in this case there is, it seems, a new alternative BOM that has been created for this particular material, which might justify the creation of a new production version. Similarly, for these items here, we have the message saying that a new production routing has been created. We also know that a BOM has been created, and these are brand new products. Now you have the ability here to, for example, reject the proposal from the system, because you might say, well, this is not applicable. It's not because this material has a BOM or a routing that it means that it should have a production version. So as I said, you can reject it. You can also mass reject these proposals if that is what you want to do. The other thing that you can also obviously do is you can, for one instance or multiple instances, accept the proposal. Before we do that, let's click on each of these lines to see what data we have in those. So if we click on this line here, we can see the proposed data from the system that will be used as the basis for creating the production version of our material. We can see the system has picked up the task list group, i.e. the routing of our product, as well as the bill of material. Let's go one step back. Again, we have our two items selected. We're going to say accept the proposal. The system tells us that new production versions will be created for selected plant and material, which is what we want. So we will say OK. And as a result of that, note that the proposals have gone from 4 down to 2, and where previously we had existing production versions at 16, they have gone to 18, meaning that the two items that we selected, for which we approved the creation of a production version, have now been moved across as existing production versions. So if we go to existing production versions and we look at those two materials which were the ones that we had selected, we can, for example, again click on one to see what the production version is all about. We can see the production version number is 0001. You can of course edit this information if you wanted to. Maybe you would want to, for example, change the description of that particular production version, or you might also potentially want to change the lot size of it. Let's go back. What you can also do within this particular app is do a mass check to make sure that the data that has been created is consistent. And we can see that the check is successful, meaning that the routing and the bill of material that have been added for the production version of those two materials are absolutely valid, so we should have no issue in creating production orders for those materials. Note that you can also, obviously, if you wanted to, select multiple production versions and lock them for any usage. And we can see that the lock has been reflected by the update in this icon, showing a closed lock icon with a different red coloring. Similarly, we can also unlock them to make them usable again. We can also delete multiple production versions if we wanted to directly in this particular application. So there you go. I hope that this is going to provide some incredible productivity gains, where the system is going to now shift from waiting for you to enter those production versions to actually being a force of proposal that you can reject or accept.